Earlier tonight, we introduced you to a little boy who's with autism, whose family alleges that he was called names and mistreated by a school bus driver. We're going to go live now to Avery Haines, who's addressing the conversation this story has prompted about misconceptions surrounding this disorder we know as autism. Avery.
Well, thanks so much, Gordon. I don't think that anyone who heard that story could feel anything but sickened by the allegations. But for those who have children with autism, this is even more disturbing. Marti Veliz is from Autism Ontario. She is also the mother of a 13-year-old son who has autism. Thank you so much for being here.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Can I ask you what I said sickened for most parents, but for those with autism, I'm imagining that your gut reaction was even worse than that.
Oh, definitely. I was appalled. I mean, I just heard about it recently, and I was shocked that it can happen to any child, regardless of whether a child has ASD or not. It shouldn't be happening in today's society.
And yet so many parents, I know this to be true from the parents that I've talked to with children with autism, when they send their kids out into the world every day, are terrified that something like this could happen. It kind of is always lurking in the back of your head that someone won't treat your child properly.
So true. I mean, every day it's like I tend to text people. It's like, did he get home safe? How are things? But it's just for my own knowledge that he's okay, because I'm putting his life, his care in somebody else's hands. So I'm working with a community where I'm hoping that they're all respective of any child with special needs.
And part of the problem is education when it comes to people reacting to the way that a child with autism might be behaving in a supermarket, for example. I mean, there really does have to be more education in terms of understanding that.
Oh, definitely. I believe education is the key. Autism awareness is so important in today's society. I mean, the statistics are 1 in 90. When my son was diagnosed over 6 years ago, it was 1 in 50. So with time, it's just telling us, with more education and more early diagnosis, these children are coming out of the woodwork. So people have to be educated. You can't just assume that a child is misbehaving at a grocery store. It could be, you know, a reaction to something like the lights or a noise in the background that is affecting them. So without proper education, you shouldn't be judging.
I think what's most disconcerting to so many people about this case, and while these charges have not been, you know, these are allegations right now, but what's so disconcerting about it is the fact that somebody in that position was supposed to be trained to have been able to deal with children with special needs. And clearly, we have a long way to go if even those within that area are struggling.
Definitely, and that's why there's always continuous education. You know, what you learn today may not necessarily work tomorrow. So it's about continuing and just educating yourself and becoming aware of our kids. You know, they just want to interact with everybody else. Yes, you know, they may not be able to communicate the way you and I do, but they have feelings and awareness of how they may be reacting to something. It's so important. You know, these kids just want to be part of our society. And as a mother, it's so important for me to educate people so they can accept my son.
Is this something that's happened to your son, or the stories that you've heard where we may be shocked by it, but this is sort of part and parcel with having a child with autism, not being respected or understood by strangers?
I am so grateful, and I count my lucky stars that to date nothing has happened like this to my son. I tend to basically, you know, wear autism on my shoulder. Everywhere I go, I wear everybody, and it's like, okay, my child has ASD. My son is semi-verbal. When he wants to talk, he'll talk. But at times, it's like he's very quiet. He's to himself, but he's aware of everything. And
you're out there educating people through your organization as well as through experiences with your sons.
I have to, because that's the only way my son's going to be accepted in this community.
Thank you so much for being here and for helping shed a little bit of light on the misconceptions. And really, education is the key. So we will have details on our website on how to connect with Autism Ontario.